Now, the issue of people not talking about the menopause, men and women not talking about it, and women having different feelings about it, and setting up, I suppose, places where people can converse about the menopause. Menopause cafes is a thing which is growing across the world. And Breda Birmingham, who's from Waterford here, has joined me to talk about the potential growth of the menopause cafes here in Waterford and in Ireland. Good morning, Breda.
Good morning, Damien. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Very well. A little Einstein quote to start us off. Not the children's programmes now, little Einsteins, but Einstein, nothing changes until somebody moves. Why do you like Mr. Einstein?
Well, I actually love that quote because when it comes to myself and what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to start a change and bring about a change in Irish society when it comes to talking about menopause and looking at midlife for women in Ireland, because we're actually one of the most understudied cohort.
They are quite lofty ambitions, Breda. It's good to aim high, because there has to be a discussion about this and there has to be a debate about this. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You're a midwife?
A midwife and public health nurse. And then I took about 10 years off. I'm a mum of four. 4 years ago, I returned to full-time education out at WIT, and I did a degree in psychology and sociology. And my final year research thesis was looking at midlife and menopause. And that has brought me here today.
Why did you focus on that aspects of life?
Well, I suppose all my working life I have worked with women and mothers in particular, and when it came to choosing a topic to research, I myself, I'm perimenopausal, so when I started looking for information I saw a huge dearth out there. And
why is that, do you think?
You see, we have to look back, I think, to understand why it's such a closeted subject. And if you think back to 100 years ago, 50% of us would have been lucky to make it to 50. 50 years ago, most of my mother's generation, let's say she's in her early 80s, if you got to 50 you were considered old, 100% of us back then, because society was dictated that your role really was in fertility and in procreation. But this is 2019. We have the largest cohort of women in the Western world moving into their 50s today, who are educated, they're economically independent, they are fit and healthy and well. So these old narratives of being redundant, invisible, over the hill, they have to go, because realistically we're looking forward to another 40 years of living.
Like your mother, you're originally from Castlemaine in Kerry.
That's right.
These are type of taboo subjects that people wouldn't have spoken about in the past.
Absolutely. I even asking my own mum, when she was actually transitioning through menopause, she was saying social phobia was one of the big ones for her. Back then, nobody spoke about menopause. There was nobody to turn to. In my own research, I have discovered that the greatest power, and women don't realise this, is actually in conversations with other women. There's huge support to be got if we start opening up and starting the conversation around this time.
And you've started that already. You had an event in the Grow HQ last week, and a good response initially to get things going. That was the first step in the effort to get people talking about it, to create a safe space for women to talk. What have you found out already in terms of those conversations? Is it the fact that some women feel guilty that they're not experiencing the real bad effects of menopause? Others are really wanting to say how bad it is?
In Ireland, let's say today, the latest statistics, there are 330,000 women transitioning through menopause. Of that number, 80% are going to experience symptoms. 25% will be quite severe. What I've discovered, let's say since I started this, I started a Facebook page back in February, and that was it was friends of mine encouraged me to put my research out there because they felt, having discussed what I had been researching with them, they said, Bríd, you need to start talking about this because it's going to really benefit people. When it comes to this time in life, we have a huge problem when it comes to mental health rates. The mental health rates for women across the lifespan are peaking between the ages of 45 and 55, and suicides for women in Ireland and in the UK are at their highest at 51. I believe there are two reasons for this. One is lack of awareness, lack of information, and lack of and poor mismanagement around menopause. But also, it's the stereotypes of ageism, and the stereotypes around that. This invisibility narrative, or that I'm over the hill. Whereas in actual fact, what women need to realise is that where I'm coming from is that society also has to realise that women need to get out there and proactively manage their menopause, because there is so much living to be done post-menopause.
Is it a combination of accepting as well, if you're in that 25% that is experiencing severe effects of menopause, accepting what it is, learning what it is, dealing with it, and then trying to cope?
Yes. And Damien, we also have to remember, if we compare it to pregnancy, like not everybody in this country, not every woman in this country is going to go through pregnancy, but everybody is going to go through menopause. And if you look at the amount of awareness, education and information that's actually out there, not only for pregnancy now, but for preconceptual care, compare that to a woman who suddenly finds herself at 47, 48 and she's plunged into having all these symptoms. No awareness, no information. Of course they're going to be exacerbated if you don't understand or you haven't prepared. So I believe knowledge is power and preparation is key to this time.
And what about having a partner, husband, partner, whatever the case may be, and the inability to communicate with him what you're going through, or another female partner, but particularly let's say it's a male-female relationship, the inability to let him know how you're feeling?
Yes, and this is where the menopause cafes actually are coming in. The lady that started these back in Scotland in 2017, she saw that there was a huge void in communication between women and between partners or within families and in workplaces. So that's why she originally set up the Menopause Cafe. It's not a disease. And this is where a lot of people, I think, are getting caught up. It's not actually a disease. It's a transformation phase. So it's not one event. That's why it takes a few years to actually go through it. So,
and you've just been accepted into a thing called the Social Entrepreneurs Ireland, SEI Academy, for the year. 240 applied. You were one of 15 chosen. What's that going to mean for you in terms of getting this message across?
It's been fantastic. They're a fantastic group and a brilliant organisation. And at the moment, I'm in the academy. So that's providing mentorship around how to spread the message throughout Ireland. And my hope is that every county, we will have a menopause cafe in every county, just to get the conversations going, because it's only really a first step. We need to get women talking and getting them to realise, by the time you get to 50, you've got this magnificent skill set. You've managed, for a lot of women, like they've managed homes, they've managed families, they've managed relationships, and they really need to realise the value in that. Even for women that may have taken time out and spent it at home looking after families, I do believe that in your 50s is a time where you can completely reinvent yourself. And there's research out there, I've seen it, that you can go off on a different track from a career perspective or go for promotion. What's happening in the UK is that a lot of women in their 50s they haven't been managing their menopausal symptoms, and their confidence is starting to become eroded, and they're not going for promotion. And in particular within the UK police force, they had noticed that a lot of women in their between 45 again and 55 were actually taking time out of work, and they were not going for promotion, and it was all related to mismanagement, losing their confidence around this time in life.
What do listeners do to contact you? How do they find out about the next Menopause Cafe?
The next Menopause Cafe, I've got a Facebook page. It's called the Midlife Women Rock Project. I'm setting up a website about it, and in the local newspaper I'll be advertising as well. We are in Tramore today, and we are going to be in Dungarvan and in Dunmore East the end of August, and then Waterford Health Park the beginning of September.
Okay, well, we'll keep an eye on those dates, and you let us know as well, and we'll help you publicise them, because it's something we've covered already on this programme, but it's something that hasn't been covered enough.
Exactly,
and it needs to be covered more.
Yeah, yes.
Because there's women out there probably listening to this that are all over the place in terms of what their thoughts are and their feelings going through this menopause.
Yes.
What would you have to say to them? First thing to say to them?
No, the first thing is that you're not alone. And if I could give one little bit of advice, I think to women, is that you really have to kind of prioritise yourself. If you're going through perimenopause, you have to kind of decide, I'm going to start something for myself, be it exercise, a daily walk, join a choir. Just prioritise yourself and give yourself that little bit of time. I know it's difficult if you've small children or you're looking after elderly parents, but it has a huge ripple effect. The ripple effect is it has a massive effect on your relationship if you decide to prioritise yourself. It also has a massive ripple effect on your family, and you feel an awful lot better. So I would say exercise. Professor Rena Mulcahy was talking at the Menopause Cafe up at Grow on Monday, and she was talking about exercise and nutrition and diet. They're the two biggies for midlife women to review.
What's the name of the Facebook page again?
It's Midlife Women Rock Project.
Midlife Women Rock Project.
Thank you very much, Damien.
Thank you very much, Breda, for coming in. Really appreciate it. Damien, fair play to women who would do it, but I'd never go to a menopause cafe. It sounds horrific. Why would anyone put themselves out there and go to one is beyond me? No, I wouldn't do it. Another person has texted to say, I started menopause at age 49. I'm 59 and I'm still having hot flushes where I actually have so much heat I look like I've been in the shower. And this person says that they certainly would go to the menopause cafe to talk about these things because there are taboo subjects around it. So keep your texts and your comments coming in about that. Next, how to stay safe, particularly with the summer season now upon us. Or is summer actually going to happen?